guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Kristen and today we're going to be doing some fun calendar DIY hacks using the brand new Dollar Tree calendars. For this first DIY, I'm using this Farm Life calendar along with this little pumpkin cutting board from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I did, I just flipped over this cutting board sign and I'm just using the Waverly chalk paint in the color white to paint this. This did take 2 coats, which I usually use a hair dryer in between, so this actually went really fast up until the point I started using the calendar. So I really wanted to find that one because I was obsessed with that cow. I knew there was going to be so many different ideas and like ways I would be able to use it. And then if you can cut around it very nicely, you won't even be able to tell it was a calendar. So that is the one I'm going to be using. And then you can always use the front one as well. So you can have 2 different cow DIYs. So I just cut this out along the edges. I did end up cutting this better, but I just kind of wanted to get this going. So you're going to see here, it looks like a sloppy cutting, but I promise you it ends up being pretty solid. So I'm just using my good old Elmer's glue stick. If you wanted to make this more of a permanent finish, you may want to throw on some Mod Podge or some kind of sealer over the top of this, because I think eventually this probably will peel away. I'm saying within time. So I had to use those Farm Life words, so I just cut them out larger, and then I wanted to cut them individually because I wanted more of that background to be off of the letters. So this was a tad bit time consuming, but I think it was definitely worth it, especially if you wanted just a little bit nicer of a project. If not, just cut out that Farm Life, throw it on like a little collage or something like that and call it a day. And right now I'm just kind of moving all of the letters around just to make sure I know how they are going to fit. And some people say like do the middle letters first. I just kind of left them as is and then just kind of started gluing them to exactly where I put them, and it worked out just fine. Of course, here we go again using the Elmer's glue stick. I use that in every single one of these DIYs. So I just really like the one that does purple. I think it kind of seals it better or works better. And if you do get a little bit of glue on there, it dries clear, thankfully. But this is what it looks like when it is done. You could add a bow, you could add whatever you wanted to, greenery. I just kind of like that plain old look, but it kind of gives you just an idea of what you could do with this one. Alright, for this I'm using 3 of these wooden crates. These are from Dollar Tree. My Dollar Trees seem to be having these every single time I walk into that store. I don't go in often, but when I do, it is always fully packed. So I don't know if yours is like that right now, but there's like always a time where you can't find these, and then there's a time where you can find a ton of them. I'm using that Waverly chalk paint in the color white to paint all 3 of these. I'm using this Farm Life calendar once again, and I seen this one and I was like, you know, this is supposed to be like February's or January's, I'm not sure, April, May, one of them, like one of the earlier ones. And I'm like, this could be more than just a summer or spring theme because it is sunflowers, and sunflowers always work for the fall time. It's when they come out, right? So I thought that I would just cut out these sunflowers and then I would just start gluing them to the sides of the crates. But before I do that, I did just want to grab some hot glue. I'm using my Gorilla Glue Gun. I love this one. I've had this for a year now. I ordered it on Amazon, and then it always says like, oh, you recently purchased this, or this is when you purchased it last. It's been a year and I love this thing. It rarely drips, and I say rarely because I think when I first turn it on, it kind of drips a tiny bit, but not all through the crafting. Like, it does its job, it's all done. So now I'm just laying out the sunflowers to see how I'd want them on the edges. I did not do the back side, but there was extra sunflowers, so you totally could do that. And I'm just kind of moving them around to see how I feel about them. I was going to use that happy fall sign, changed my mind because I'm like, let's just add some sunflowers. So I just decided to add 5 of them, and then I did trim off the excess pieces if it did not fit on the crate. This is what it looks like when it is done. I just added some faux corn cobs, and those are from Hobby Lobby. The pumpkins and the picks are from the Dollar Tree this year, and I think this turned out so cute. one, I decided to go with this Happy Harvest truck. I did want the Happy Harvest in there as well, and I just picked up a yard sale sign. This was only $1, and I usually always try to pick up any yard sale frame or sign that has that wood around the edges. I think that you can always leave the frame as is, so that's why I kind of choose. I'm very picky when it comes to frames now, so I used to just pick like anything, and like if I can't tear it apart easily, I don't want it. If it's not like a good wood frame or something I can paint, I also don't want it. So this one was only $1, and I decided to just cut the calendar to size, and of course using that glue stick for the back side of this sign, just adding that Happy Harvest truck to the top, and then putting it back together. And you're gonna see I put it together. The little nails, or yeah, I think the little nails were sticking out of the back side of the sign. So actually I just had to like push this back in, and it stayed perfectly, but I ended up using scissors as a hammer instead of an actual hammer, but it worked perfect. No big deal. You got to use what you have sometimes, but I think this turned out so good, and I just love that wood around the edges. This was the other calendar I was on the lookout for. I actually wanted that barn, and then I didn't even use the barn in this video. So I hope to do some more calendar DIYs because I have a ton of other cutouts for this. I love when I actually find frames that fit these calendars perfectly. So I didn't even have to cut this one out, but I loved this pig one. And I'm just using some painter's tape around the back side to adhere this sign. And then when I don't want this anymore and I want to switch it out, I can just remove the tape and I am good to go. If you guys did not know, I have goats of my own and I love them, but I also love finding like goat decor or pieces like this in the calendar. You usually never see goats. It's always cows, chickens, pigs, and sometimes lambs. So I had to do something with this goat. So I just cut it out, and then I'm using this crate. I've had this little crate for I want to say for like 2 or 3 years now. It was from the Target dollar spot, and it was like a stacked crate set. So you got like a large one, a medium, and a small one. Something like that. I'm using the color Truffle by Waverly to paint this entire thing. So I did the inside, the edges, the outside, every little crack I could find, I painted with this color. And then I just ended up gluing that goat picture right to the front of this crate. And I just decided to do that. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cute. It was like a different sort of sign, but it also would stand alone, which sometimes signs need a little bit of help standing, and then this one doesn't. So I think this turned out really cute in the end. And of course I just used my Elmer's glue stick to glue that goat picture down. Then the last thing I decided to do was just grab my chip brush. This is from the Dixie Belle website, and I'm just dry brushing around the edges with the Waverly chalk paint in white. I'm using a house from Dollar Tree, and I'm just using a tiny little screwdriver to get those screws out of there, along with that little family galvanized sign. I wanted to take that piece off so I would have a good little clean slate with this house. And I'm just using the Waverly chalk paint in the color white. This little guy did need 3 coats of paint. And then once that was done, I wanted to use this Home Sweet Home calendar, and it did have the lemons along the edges, so I did just end up cutting away from those because I did not like lemons. I'm not really a huge lemon fan, but this is actually really cute. So if you do like lemons, this would be a really cute piece just for a frame. I did just cut it out into a square, and I'm just going to leave this as is, but when I kind of put it against the white, I realized I really need to dry brush it just a little bit. So I'm using that color Truffle by Waverly once again, and I'm just kind of going over the top of this house. You're going to see that those little screw holes are showing, but we will be covering those. So if it's bothering you now, it will be covered in a minute. So once that was done, everything was dry, I just used, of course, that glue stick once again to glue that Home Sweet Home to the center of the house. And to cover those holes, I am going to be using these half wood beads. I found these on Amazon. They came with a buffalo check, white, and black. And I just decided to use 4 black ones and just do the corners of this home sweet home. Obviously, I wanted to cover those screw holes, but I mean, if I was going to add it to the top, I might as well add it to the bottom side. And I'm just using some hot glue for that. And I just decided to leave this plain. I kept going back and forth with a wreath or a bow, and I just did not like any of those ways. So I left this one pretty plain, but you can definitely change this up if you choose to. Loved this It's Fall Y'all calendar, so I decided to cut that out and use this larger pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I picked up a couple of these. I'll be doing a few different DIYs, pretty simple ones, but I really liked this piece, and even if some of that wreath did get cut off, I still really like the way that this looks in the end. I was trying to figure out how to keep that whole wreath in, so if you guys have any ideas, let me know. I did buy 2 of these calendars just in case I wanted to use more of those farmhouse animals. So I'm just gluing this right to the back side, and once this was done, I realized that I needed to paint that stem, and I already had that truffle color out from the last DIY, so I decided to just go in with that and paint that little stem. And then I did just end up adding that leaf and bow that it came with. I'm actually a fan of just reusing whatever is on these signs. So if I rip off a bow or a leaf or a flower, I usually tend to just reuse them. And I'm just adding some hot glue to the back side to put it back. Next one, I'm using this sign. This was originally from Target, but I picked it up at a yard sale, and obviously it was a little card holder. I am just cutting those little twine rope pieces, and then I'm just turning it sideways because this is how my little sign is going to be in the end. And I'm just using the Waverly chalk paint in the color white once again, or for the 10th time in this video. And then I'm just going to do 2 coats for this sign. I really liked this one. It says count your blessings along with those pumpkins. So I just cut everything out. So I couldn't cut super close to the edges of the count your blessings, but I did get really close with the pumpkins, and the pumpkins were kind of the first thing that I saw. I was like, okay, I could cut really close along the edges of this. I did end up dry brushing with that truffle color. I really only used a couple paint colors in this video. I just kind of noticed that just because the count your blessings did kind of have that like rustic background to it. So I was trying to match it up as best as I could. And of course, we're using that Elmer's glue stick. And if you do use them as much as I do, which I use an entire stick of glue for this video, it's the best time to get it after school starts. So when every school supply starts going on clearance, you kind of wait like a month or so, and they are on killer clearance. And I think I bought like, I want to say 100 glue sticks last year. So I probably don't need any for another year or so, but if I can pick them up, I think I picked up like 10 of them for 50 cents. I will probably have to do it again. And then now I'm just adding the greenery, that count your blessings, and you see that my glue stick just fell apart right there. So that's what I was kind of taking off the back, was I just realized that my glue stick fell apart and it was like stuck to my sign. Gluing everything down, and that is what I did for this sign. I think this one turned out so good. But that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and if you are new to my channel, consider sticking around and subscribing. Let me know in the comments below if you guys were able to find these calendars and what you guys chose to do with them. That is it, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!